Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into these excerpts you sent over from Career Climber Surefire Strategies for Soaring Success in Your Career.
Yeah,
It seems like this document really tries to cover it all.
it does.
From landing that dream job to negotiating a raise and even figuring out different leadership styles. I'm already pretty intrigued. But what about you? What stood out to you from all of this?
Well, right off the bat, it tackles some of those career myths we hear all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like career is just a fancy way to say job or,
Right.
It's all about what industry you're in.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's really setting the stage for a more empowered way to think about your career.
Yeah,
right?
I saw that too.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're saying, hold on, let's actually think about what a career means
Yeah.
before we even get into all the strategies. So what do you think about that approach?
I think it's super important because so many people, they get stuck thinking about, their current job title instead of the bigger picture,
Right.
what skills they have and how those skills can actually change and grow over time.
Right.
The document says, a career is about using every single experience, even the bad ones, as stepping stones to get to your goals.
I see. So instead of saying, I'm stuck in this dead-end job,
Right.
it's more like, okay, this job is teaching me X and Y skills, so how can I actually use these to get where I want to be?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a total mindset shift.
Right.
They even use this analogy of a forest.
Okay.
So your job is just one tree,
Okay.
but your career is the entire forest.
Okay.
So you might change trees, but the forest is your overall growth and direction,
I like that.
Yeah.
And it kind of ties back to that myth about career being the same as an occupation.
Yeah.
And I know the document uses writing as an example. You can be a great writer,
Right.
but what are you actually writing?
Right. What's the substance?
Yeah.
It's not just the format or, the job title.
Uh-huh.
So a skilled writer could have a career in journalism, technical writing, marketing. There's so many options.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about figuring out what your expertise is and how you can apply it across all sorts of different things.
Okay, so let's say someone is going for that dream job.
Yeah.
The document gets into some pretty practical tips for standing out, in a really competitive job market.
Oh, yeah.
And one thing it really emphasizes is showcasing your skills on your resume. And it even says just listing skills isn't enough anymore. So
Yeah.
how can someone actually showcase their skills effectively?
Okay, well, think of your resume like it's a movie trailer.
Okay.
You want to give a sneak peek of what you can do,
Right.
not just a list of tasks.
Right.
For instance, instead of writing proficient in data analysis,
Okay.
you could say, I use data analysis skills to identify key trends in customer behavior, and that led to a 15% increase in sales.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That paints a much clearer picture of what you actually bring to the table.
Right.
So it's about telling a story with your experience rather than just stating the facts.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that storytelling approach is so important for interviews too.
Yeah.
The document really highlights the importance of just being yourself, rather than trying to fit into this perfect mold.
Right.
Hiring managers can spot a phony right away.
Yeah.
They want to see your personality.
Right.
And, your passion
Yeah.
shine through.
So it's not just about having all the right qualifications on paper.
Right.
It's really about connecting with the interviewers, on a human level and
Yeah.
showing them who you actually are.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that kind of ties into another key point the document makes about expertise.
Okay.
So while being a generalist is fine, having a specific area that you excel in makes you more valuable.
Yeah.
It's all about differentiation. What makes you stand out from everyone else?
So it's like having a superpower.
Yeah.
That one thing that you're known for. And that really sets you apart. Okay.
It could be a niche skill, a deep understanding of a certain industry,
Right.
or even just a really unique combo of experiences. Having that expertise makes you more memorable.
Right.
And it shows that you have a deeper level of competence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The document also talks about the importance of being a team player,
Oh, of course.
which seems like a given.
Yeah.
That I'm guessing there's more to it than just saying I'm a team player,
Or absolutely. Anyone can say that,
Right.
but you need to show it with actual examples.
Right.
Did you work on a project that was successful? Did you help out a coworker who was struggling?
Okay.
You really want to highlight those times when you had strong communication,
Right.
when you were collaborating,
Right.
and when you were willing to contribute to the team as a whole.
So it's about showing your teamwork skills in action,
Yeah.
not just making this vague statement. And this all kind of ties back to that idea of building your career strategically right.
Yeah.
It's not just about applying for every job you see.
Right.
It's about actually finding opportunities that let you develop your expertise and showcase your strengths.
Exactly. And, the document actually gives some advice for internal interviews, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You should treat those just as seriously as external ones.
Oh, okay.
Be professional.
Yeah.
And come prepared with some good questions.
Yeah, it's easy to kind of get complacent when you're applying at your own company, right?
Yeah.
But that's when you really need to step up your game.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, let's talk about something I think everyone struggles with.
Okay.
Negotiating a raise.
Oh, boy.
The document has this pretty funny story about what not to do.
Yeah.
Have you ever actually seen something like that happen in real life?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, I've seen people go in there demanding a raise
Yeah.
with, like, ultimatums and anger. But the document's point is it's not your boss's job to track everything you do.
Right.
You need to show them what you're worth.
Okay. So instead of getting frustrated and waiting for your boss to just notice all your hard work,
Right.
you actually have to be proactive about showing your contributions.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the document suggests keeping a job journal.
Interesting.
And this isn't about bragging.
Okay.
It's about having proof to support why you deserve that raise.
I see. So instead of saying, I deserve a raise because I work hard,
Right.
you can say, I actually increased sales by 15% this quarter
Exactly.
by doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, and quantify your impact whenever you can.
Okay.
Did you streamline a process that saved the company money?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get great feedback from clients?
Okay.
Those are the things that really make your case for a raise.
Yeah, and I imagine timing's important too.
Oh, definitely.
You don't want to just barge into your boss's office on a random Tuesday and demand more money.
Yeah.
So what are some good strategies for picking the right time to actually have that conversation?
Well, the document says to use key moments, like your annual performance review.
Okay.
Or right after you finish a big project.
Right, when it's fresh in everyone's mind.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about being strategic and choosing a time when your contributions are really top of mind.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's not even just about the money, is it?
Yeah.
The document says it's important to frame your request, in terms of your commitment to the company.
Right.
And your desire to keep growing within the organization.
Yeah, you're saying, I want to contribute even more. And here's how I see myself doing that.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From, those career myths to negotiating a raise.
Mm-hmm.
But the document doesn't stop there.
It doesn't.
It also goes into different leadership styles.
Yeah.
And it seems like the key takeaway is that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to leadership.
Definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
The best leaders can adapt their style. Based on what's happening and what their team needs.
Okay.
The document goes through a bunch of different leadership styles.
Yeah.
And each one has its own strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
And it's interesting because some of these styles seem like total opposites.
Okay.
But they can all work in the right situation.
So it's about understanding how each style works and knowing when to use which one.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, let's start with charismatic leadership.
Okay.
The document describes these leaders as being really engaging and persuasive.
Mm-hmm.
They can inspire a lot of loyalty and dedication in their followers.
Yeah.
Have you ever come across leaders like that in your own experience?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Think about like Martin Luther King Jr. or Steve Jobs.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They had this undeniable charisma
Yeah.
that just drew people to their vision.
Yeah.
They were amazing communicators.
Right.
And they could connect with people on like an emotional level
Mm-hmm.
and inspire them to take action. But it's important to remember that charisma can be a double-edged sword.
What do you mean?
It can be really powerful.
Yeah.
But you also need a strong moral compass and a real commitment to the well-being of others,
So it's not just about being charming and persuasive.
Right.
It's about actually using that charisma for good.
Yeah,
And not letting it become a tool for manipulation or your own selfish goals.
exactly. And that kind of leads us to another interesting leadership style that the document talks about, transformational leadership.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this style seems to go beyond just motivating your followers.
Right.
It's about inspiring them to become like the best versions of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
The document says that these leaders are really committed to their team's growth, both professionally and personally.
It's a style that really fits in today's world,
Yeah.
Like think about someone like Jacinda Ardern.
Okay.
She's a great example of a transformational leader.
Right.
She's not just focused on political goals. She's also dedicated to creating a more fair and compassionate society.
Okay.
And she does this by inspiring and empowering people to be part of that change.
It's like they're not just leading a team.
Right.
They're leading like a movement.
That's a great way to put it. And the document even compares it to charismatic leadership.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Saying that both styles involve strong communication and the ability to connect with people personally.
Okay, but so what's the difference?
Well, it says transformational leadership is different because it's focused on the leader's vision for positive change.
Okay.
Not just for the organization, but for everyone involved.
Okay, so it's about empowering their followers to reach their full potential and contributing to something bigger than themselves.
Right. It's about creating this ripple effect where the leader's vision and values actually inspire others to create positive change in their own lives.
That's really interesting. And it connects with a lot of what we're seeing in leadership today, where it's shifting from that top-down command and control to something more collaborative and purpose-driven.
Definitely. People are realizing that effective leadership isn't about having all the power.
Right.
It's about working together, empowering others, and creating a shared sense of purpose.
Okay, so that brings us to another style. The document explores participative leadership.
Ah, yes. The art of sharing those decisions.
Okay.
And the document points out that how much the followers are involved can actually change depending on what's going on.
Okay.
So sometimes it might just be about asking for input.
Right.
But other times it could mean giving the team a lot of control and making the decisions.
Right. So it's recognizing that sometimes the best solutions come from everyone working together.
Exactly. A participative leader really encourages people to talk openly, to listen to each other, and to be open to different viewpoints.
But it also says that there are times when a leader has to make a decision without asking the whole team. So it's about finding that balance between collaboration and taking action.
Exactly. How much participation there is should depend on the situation.
Right.
Sometimes you need a quick decision, and other times you need to be more collaborative.
Okay.
So a good leader knows when to get the team involved and when to just make the call themselves.
The document also gives an interesting take on transactional leadership.
Oh, yeah.
Which a lot of people see as a more traditional or even outdated approach. It's often contrasted with, those more transformational or participative styles.
Yeah.
But the document actually suggests that transactional leadership can work really well in some cases.
It can.
Okay.
It really stresses the importance of clear expectations.
Right.
Making sure everyone knows their role.
Okay.
And having a system of rewards and consequences.
Okay.
This approach is especially good in situations where the tasks are pretty straightforward and you can easily measure performance.
Okay, so like a well-oiled machine.
Exactly. Everyone knows their job.
Yeah.
Right. They understand what's expected of them and they're motivated by a clear system of rewards and accountability.
Okay.
And in some industries or for certain types of projects, this approach can be really effective.
And then, of course, there's servant leadership. Which takes a totally different approach.
It does.
The document says that servant leaders put the needs of others first, focusing on empowering and developing their team members. That one really resonates with me.
Yeah.
It's about leading with empathy, humility, and a genuine desire to help others.
Exactly. And this approach can be super powerful.
Right.
It creates a really positive and supportive environment where people feel valued and motivated to do their best.
So it's not about having all the power or trying to get ahead yourself.
Right.
It's about building trust, respect, and supporting each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the document suggests that servant leadership works really well in organizations that have a strong sense of purpose or mission.
Right.
When the leaders really believe in those values and they put their team's well-being first.
Yeah.
It creates this ripple effect that can actually change the whole organization.
Now, this brings us back to that broader view of career development that the document started with. It's not just about climbing the ladder. It's about finding meaning and purpose in your work.
Right.
And doing something that makes a difference.
Yeah.
The document encourages us to think about our careers, not just in terms of what we achieve individually, but also in terms of how we impact others and the world around us.
Exactly.
It's about using our skills and talents to do something good, whether it's in our organizations, our communities, or even globally.
Exactly.
And the document reminds us that career success isn't a finish line.
Right.
It's a journey of continuous growth, adaptation, and contribution.
It is. And it encourages us to be proactive in shaping that journey.
Okay.
To look for opportunities that match our values.
Right.
And to never stop learning and growing.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like we're all on this big adventure, and we get to choose our own path.
And sometimes that path takes us in unexpected directions.
Right.
But if we're open to new experiences, if we're willing to face challenges, and if we keep learning, that journey can be incredibly rewarding.
Both personally and professionally.
Exactly.
Okay, well, this deep dive has been so insightful.
It has.
It feels like we just took a crash course in career development, leadership, and the meaning of success. So what are some key takeaways that you hope our listener walks away with today?
Well, I think the biggest one is that a career is more than just the job you have.
Okay.
It's about the skills you build, the experiences you have, and the impact you make along the way.
Okay.
It's about using every opportunity to learn and grow, to build relationships, and to contribute to something bigger than yourself.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's about finding purpose and fulfillment in your work and using your talents to make a positive difference in the world.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of defining success, the document has some interesting things to say about how to measure your progress.
It does.
Have you found that those strategies resonate with the people you've worked with?
Absolutely. One of the most powerful tools they talk about is keeping a career journal.
Okay.
It's a place to write down all your accomplishments, your challenges, the things you've learned, and the goals you're working towards.
So it's like making a roadmap for your career.
Exactly. You can track your progress, see where you can improve, and celebrate all your wins.
Okay.
And it's not just about the external stuff.
Oh, what do you mean?
Like promotions or raises.
Right.
It's also about recognizing your personal growth.
Okay.
The skills you've developed.
Great.
And how much you've contributed.
I bet that kind of reflection can be really empowering.
It is. It's about taking control of your career and realizing that you're the one writing your own success story.
And the document emphasizes that success isn't a straight line.
It's not.
You know, there will be setbacks, challenges, and moments of doubt along the way.
Definitely.
But it's how we deal with those challenges that really shows our resilience and ability to grow.
Right.
It's about embracing all the ups and downs and knowing that every experience, even the tough ones, can teach us valuable lessons.
They do.
And make us stronger and more capable.
The document also says to be proactive about finding opportunities for growth.
Okay.
You can't just wait for things to happen.
Right.
You have to go after your goals, network with people, and step outside of your comfort zone.
I love that. It's about taking charge of your own career and creating the future you want.
Exactly. And remember that career development is a lifelong process.
Right.
There's always something new to learn, new skills to gain, and new challenges to tackle.
This deep dive has been so inspiring.
Yeah.
It's shown me a whole new sense of purpose and excitement about my own career.
I'm so glad to hear that. And I hope our listener feels the same way.
Yeah.
You know, your career is a reflection of your talents, your passions, and what you want to achieve.
Right.
So embrace the journey.
Yeah.
Embrace the challenges. And never stop trying to make a positive impact on the world around you.
Beautifully said. And on that note, is there one final thought-provoking thing you'd like to leave our listener with today?
I think a lot of times we get so caught up in those external markers of success.
Yeah, totally.
The promotions, the titles, the fancy job titles.
Yeah.
But this document really makes us think about what success actually means to us personally.
Right. Like what matters to you.
Exactly. It says we should define success on our own terms.
Okay.
Figure out what really matters to us.
Right.
And make sure our career choices line up with those values.
Oh, I see.
So for some people, success might be reaching the top of their field, you know?
Okay.
For others, it might be about finding work that lets them make a difference in the world.
Right.
And for others, it could be about finding that balance between work and life.
Yeah.
So they can pursue their passions and spend time with their loved ones.
Okay, so there's no one right answer.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works for you.
That's really freeing, isn't it?
It is. It takes the pressure off of trying to fit into someone else's mold.
Yeah, totally. The document also talks about how important it is to keep learning and developing.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not just about getting new skills.
Right.
It's also about expanding our knowledge and challenging our own perspectives.
It's about staying curious.
Right.
Embracing lifelong learning.
Yeah.
And looking for opportunities to grow both personally and professionally.
And that makes sense because the world is changing so fast.
It is.
And the skills that are in demand today might not even be relevant tomorrow.
Exactly.
So by having that growth mindset
Yeah.
and that commitment to keep learning,
Right.
we can stay ahead of the game and adapt to whatever the workplace throws at us.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be just formal education either.
Oh, yeah, totally.
You can read books, go to workshops, connect with mentors,
Right.
or even just have conversations with people who have different points of view.
I think that's so important.
It is. The document also highlights the importance of networking.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just about collecting business cards,
Yeah.
It's about building real relationships with people who can support us, inspire us, and challenge us to grow.
Those relationships can be so valuable, can't they?
They really can. They can give us guidance, support, and even open doors to new opportunities that we might never have found on our own.
The document says to be intentional about building those networks, like going to industry events.
Right?
Joining professional organizations and reaching out to people we admire for informational interviews.
It's about creating a community of support, inspiration, and people who can push us to be our best selves.
Exactly. And those connections can go beyond just our work lives, too.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. The document encourages us to get involved in our communities,
Okay.
volunteer our time, and use our skills and talents to make a positive impact on the world around us.
I love that. So it's recognizing that our careers are about more than just making money.
Right.
It's about making a contribution to something bigger.
Yeah, whether it's through our work, our volunteering, or just how we interact with people.
Right.
We all have the power to make a difference.
And that brings us back to the document's discussion of leadership styles.
It does.
We talked about charismatic and transformational leadership, but there's another one that stood out to me, participative leadership. Yes. That's all about sharing decision-making.
Right.
And the document points out that the level of involvement from the team can vary.
Okay.
Depending on the situation.
Right.
Sometimes it might just involve getting their input.
Okay.
And other times it might mean giving them a lot of autonomy in making the decisions.
Okay, so it's about recognizing that sometimes the best solutions come from everyone working together.
Exactly. And a participative leader really encourages open communication,
Right.
active listening, and being open to different perspectives.
Right. But it also acknowledges that sometimes a leader has to make a decision without consulting the whole team.
Right. It's about finding that balance
Yeah.
between collaboration and decisive action.
Exactly. A good leader knows when to get the team involved and when to just make the call themselves.
The document also has an interesting perspective on transactional leadership.
Yeah, that one's often seen as more traditional or even outdated.
Right. It's often contrasted with those more transformational or participative styles.
But the document actually suggests that transactional leadership can be really effective in certain situations.
You can.
It emphasizes clear expectations, well-defined roles,
Right.
and a system of rewards and consequences.
Okay.
And this approach can be especially useful in situations where tasks are pretty straightforward.
Okay.
And performance can be easily measured. Think of it like a well-oiled machine.
Okay.
Everyone knows their part, they understand what's expected,
Right.
and they're motivated by a clear system of rewards and accountability.
Right. So in some industries or for certain projects, this approach can actually be very effective.
It can. And then there's servant leadership.
Yes.
Which takes a very different approach.
It does. The document describes servant leaders as putting the needs of others before their own. Really focusing on empowering and developing their team members. Now, that style really resonates with me.
Yeah, it's about leading with empathy.
Right.
Humility.
Yeah. And a genuine desire to serve others.
Exactly.
And this approach can be incredibly powerful.
Right.
It creates a really positive and supportive work environment.
Yeah.
Where people feel valued and motivated to do their best.
It's not about having all the power or seeking personal gain.
Right.
It's about creating a culture of trust, respect, and mutual support.
Exactly. The document suggests that servant leadership is especially effective.
Okay.
In organizations that are driven by a strong sense of purpose or mission.
Right.
When leaders embody those values and they prioritize the well-being of their team, it creates this ripple effect that can transform the whole organization.
Okay, so that brings us back to that broader perspective on career development that the document emphasized from the beginning.
Right. It's not just about climbing that ladder.
Right.
It's about finding meaning and purpose in our work and contributing to something bigger than ourselves.
The document encourages us to think about our careers not just in terms of what we achieve individually, but also in terms of our impact on others and the world around us.
Exactly.
It's about using our skills and talents to make a positive difference, whether it's within our organizations, our communities, or on a global scale.
Right. And the document reminds us that career success isn't some fixed destination.
Okay.
It's a journey of continuous growth, adaptation.
And contribution.
And encourages us to be proactive in shaping that journey.
Okay.
Seek out opportunities that align with our values and aspirations, and to never stop learning and growing.
I love that. It's like we're all on this grand adventure, and we get to choose our own path.
And sometimes that path leads us in unexpected directions.
Right.
But if we're open to new experiences, willing to embrace challenges, and committed to continuous learning, that journey can be incredibly rewarding.
But personally and professionally. This deep dive has been so insightful.
It has.
It's like we've taken this crash course in career development, leadership, and the meaning of success.
It really has been a deep dive.
So what are some key takeaways you hope our listener walks away with today?
I think the most important takeaway is that a career is not just about the job you hold. You know, it's about the skills you build, the experiences you have, and the impact you make along the way.
Right.
It's about using every opportunity to learn and grow, to build relationships, and to contribute to something bigger than yourself.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's about finding purpose and fulfillment in your work and using your talents to create positive change.
Exactly. And it's about realizing that there's no one right way to define career success, you know?
Right.
It's about defining success on your own terms. Figuring out what really matters to you.
Right.
And making sure your career choices line up with those values.
Right. So for some people, success might be reaching the very top of their field.
Yeah.
For others, it might be about finding work that lets them make a real difference in the world.
Right. And for others, it could be about finding that perfect balance between work and life so they can pursue their passions and spend time with their loved ones.
Right.
There's no right or wrong answer.
I agree.
It's all about finding what works for you.
Yeah, and the document also talks about continuous learning and development.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not just about learning new skills.
Right.
But also expanding your knowledge base and challenging your own perspectives.
Right. It's about staying curious, embracing lifelong learning, and seeking out opportunities to grow both personally and professionally.
Exactly. And the world's always changing.
Yeah.
The skills that are in high demand today might be totally obsolete tomorrow.
Right. So we really have to stay adaptable.
We do. By cultivating a growth mindset and committing to lifelong learning, we can stay ahead of the curve and adapt to whatever changes come our way in the workplace.
Okay. And it's not just about formal education, is it?
No, not at all. It can be about reading books, attending workshops, connecting with mentors.
Right.
Or even just having conversations with people who have different perspectives.
That's a really good point. The document also highlights the importance of networking.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just about collecting business cards.
Right.
It's about building genuine relationships with people.
Yeah.
People who can support us, inspire us, and challenge us to grow.
And those relationships can be so valuable throughout our careers, right?
They can. They can provide us with guidance, support, and even open doors to opportunities that we might never have found on our own.
Exactly. The document encourages us to be proactive about building our networks.
Yeah.
Like by attending industry events, joining professional organizations, and reaching out to people we admire for informational interviews. So it's really about cultivating a community of support and inspiration.
Yeah. A group of people who can cheer us on when we succeed, offer a helping hand when we stumble,
right,
and challenge us to become the best versions of ourselves.
And those relationships can extend beyond our professional circles too, right?
Absolutely. The document encourages us to engage with our communities, volunteer our time, and use our skills and talents to make a difference in the world around us.
Yeah, I love that. It's about recognizing that our careers aren't just about earning a living,
right,
but also about making a contribution to something larger than ourselves.
Exactly. whether it's through our work and our volunteer activities or simply our interactions with others.
Yeah.
We all have the power to make a positive impact.
Okay, well, this deep dive has been incredibly thought-provoking and inspiring.
It has been.
We've explored the key insights from Career Climber. We've covered so much ground.
We have. From practical tips for job hunting to a deeper look at different leadership styles and even the meaning of career success.
What's one final takeaway you hope our listener walks away with today?
Well, I hope our listeners leave this deep dive feeling empowered and inspired to really take charge of their career journey. Remember, your career is a reflection of you, your unique talents, your passions, and your aspirations. So define success on your own terms, embrace continuous learning, cultivate meaningful relationships, and never stop striving to make a positive impact. The possibilities are truly endless.
That's a great note to end on. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into Career Climber.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.